Hello everyone, this is the Baron, and we're now going to be cooking lamb meatballs, or lamb meatballs. All right, as with everything, the ingredients and spices and everything like that is really up to you. I'm going to show you what I like to use, and then we'll go from there. I'm going to be cooking them on the stove, so therefore I'm going to heat up a pan, put oil in it, and I'm going to put the meatballs into there, and then I'm going to rotate them periodically and then cover them. Normally, the best way is, if you want to, either just go straight baking them in an oven, or if you want to get a nice solid char on it, you put them on a heated pan, sear it on the outside, and then put it on a tray, and then put it in the oven. So we're doing this so that we can have the great sweet onion and mint pesto sauce that we created a couple days ago to add to this to just really kick up the flavor. So like I said, the ingredients and spices that you want to add to it is always up to you. You can make it much more of a Greek flavor where they add yogurt. You can do much more subtle where it's just a few bit of spices, or you can add a lot to it. One of the things I'm going to do is one of the things that go well with lamb is rice. I'm going to actually add rice to the meatballs to make them a little bit bigger, give it a little bit of texture difference, so it's just not straight meatballs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1 pound of lamb, and put it in a mixing bowl. Unfortunately, this bowl that I'm using is not clear. You can't really see it, so I will show it to you periodically. Now, always make sure always and clean, as safe as possible. I'm going to go break it up a little bit. Make sure there's a good open area, because remember, when you're going to be mixing stuff, you want to make sure that you mix it thoroughly so you don't get like bland spots, really spicy spots, stuff like that. I took between 1/4 and 1/2 onion, chopped it up real fine. While I'm doing that, I'm going to turn the stove on, start heating it up. This takes a little bit of time. Put olive oil in. Make sure you're coating it real well. Now, one of the other interesting things is when you start making meatballs, you might have a tendency of, when you're forming them in your hand, that they're going to start sticking to your hand. What you can do is add a little bit of olive oil to your hands, to your fingers, and then you can make nice round balls that are not going to stick. So, something for later on. I am now going to add 1 egg. Put the egg white in first. Now, some people will want the egg white and the egg yolk. Some people just want the egg white. It's up to you on how you want to do it. All right. I'm going to put the egg yolk in, but I showed you the difference on how to just put the white in. Just crack the egg a little bit, open it up, and you can easily pour just the white in. Now, make sure that this is mixed up real well. this point, want to make sure. Now you can also put the egg in a separate dish, take a fork to it, mix it up that way. Okay. At this point, I am just going to move it around, make sure things are separated. So the more you mix it, the better it's going to get. Now, remember, when you get done mixing, what you can do too is after everything is done, put it in the refrigerator for 1 to 4 hours. Let all the spices and all the ingredients you put into it meld together, transfer flavor, enhance flavor, and especially for things like salt and everything like that, that will start to really enhance. All right, egg is in there pretty good. Now I'm going to add rice. Yes, use cooked rice, not uncooked rice. That is not a good combination. All right. And put about half a bag in. Now remember, you want to make sure it separates and mixes really well. So get your fingers in there and really start getting to it. Now, like I said, this is the way it's starting to look right now. I don't have a very big bowl, unfortunately, for this one. So, gotta be extra careful, take my time. And yes, it's gonna be messy, so have fun with it. Like I said, this is going to take a while to start. I'm actually going to turn this off a little bit. I'm not quite ready for it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding spices. The amount and everything is always dependent upon you and the amount of servings you are preparing. As I said in another video, what I usually like to do is I like to add all the spices together, and then as I'm mixing, I start adding spices, so therefore it blends evenly. So there I'm using salt. This is actually white pepper. So I have onion, garlic, add some of the juice in. Onion, garlic, salt, pepper, turmeric. And cumin. Now, I put in about 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon roughly of black pepper, half a teaspoon of cumin, and half a teaspoon of turmeric. Now, as with everything, it is always about to taste for you. You need to be aware when you're cooking for other people that certain things might affect other people. At that point, you put as little in as possible and you provide spices later for them to add if they want to spice it up some more or do something different. But with this, if it's very spicy, it's actually not a detriment. Why? because like I said, we created a sweet onion and mint pesto sauce, which actually decreases the temperature and the flavor to the point that instead of going, wow, this is really spicy and this is really good, now it's like, ooh, it's spicy, but now it's also cool because you got sweet onion. And it kind of goes back and forth with flavor in your mouth. So you're going to get heat, you're going to get flavor, you're going to get sweetness, you're going to get the zing of mint. It is a huge flavor profile. Again, get in there, mix it up really good with your hands. It smells really good. Now, with everything, I always say if you're going to be doing any type of cooking, especially for a large group, what you want to do is you want to make test batches. So small amounts and say, okay, this is it. And then, all right, we're going to mix it and cook it directly. Then we're going to mix some, put it in the refrigerator for 4 hours, and then cook it. We're going to pan fry compared to oven. Or you know what, we're going to double the amount of spices just to see what the difference is between a nice, I want to say more mellow flavored to, wow, this is really strong. And now we add the mint and onion, sweet onion, and see how much of a change and go, wow, you know, it tastes even better when it's more intense. So I remember I put an egg in just as an emulsifier to make sure everything sticks real well. Got some really large onion pieces. Get those out. All right, put this back on the stove. This is getting ready. Now, like I said, when you're ready and you don't want it to stick to your fingers, add a little bit of oil, move it around and get between your fingers too. All right. And when you grab it, it's easier to roll it around and make a nice ball without it sticking to your fingers. Okay. Now, what size should I make these meatballs? It's very simple. You should always make a meatball usually no bigger than the size for lamb or the size of a golf ball. Okay, so after it starts cooking, what do? Essentially, if you have a pair of tongs, you know, salad tongs, whatever it is, you go, and after every 2 minutes, you start slowly squeezing a little bit and rotating it so you start getting a nice solid sear on all the sides. Once all the sides have a nice sear to it, what you want to do is you want to cook the internal temperature. That's part of the reason why you don't go bigger than a golf ball. If you want to make sure that it heats evenly so the outside is not too burnt and the inside is too raw. But you also want to cover it to make sure that you're keeping as much of the heat in as possible. Too big. Now, unfortunately, like I said, I am in a hotel room and I don't have all the equipment So I do not have a pair of tongs. The only thing I really have is this. So I'm going to take it and start rotating them around so they don't stick to the bottom. I'm going to show you real quick. As you can see, they're starting to sear. And yes, like I said, for this type of thing, you definitely need to keep them moving so they don't stick. Now, once you get all of the sides seared, it's not going to stick as much. That's when you can cover it with a lid. And let it continue to cook. And like I said, since I'm in a hotel doing all of this, I'd only have a stovetop. So this is going to end up cooking slightly different than what I would normally do. Like I said, the best way is to actually just put them on a cooking sheet, put them in the oven at 400 degrees for 10 to 20 minutes, depending upon the size, everything like that. If you sear the outside, you can put it in for less, but all right, getting some nice searing. The other thing is if you make them too big too, they have a tendency of splitting because as they start cooking on the outside, moisture, fat, everything like that will start to expand and can break open and separate at that point. Now, these are bigger than a golf ball. Unfortunately, I thought by making a little bit bigger, make it a little bit easier for you to see how they're being cooked, but I'm getting a lot of the slight breakage. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cover that, put a timer for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to reevaluate, see if they need to be in for another 2 to 5 minutes, and then serve. In the meantime, what I'll do is I will make more of these balls for later, after this gets done cooking. to kind of save on some time. Now, as with everything too, like I said, the type that you make, if you want to do a Greek one where you add yogurt, they're going to be cooked differently. Whatever flavor profile that you want to have, like I said, you really want to make test batches to see if this is really the flavor that you're going for. Because you could be going, I'm going straight Middle Eastern and I'm going to use a whole bunch of nothing but Middle Eastern stuff. And you're like, yeah, I think I should add in something else to blend it better. You never know until you actually try. So I am going to, like I said, make some more meatballs for later. I want to go and show you. So we got about another close to 8 minutes. Now remember, like I said, I add rice to mine to give it a nice little flavor because there's a lot of times when you eat lamb that it's served with rice. Well, if you want to serve lamb with something else, but rice is a very good flavor component, add a little bit of rice to it. Therefore, you can make more meatballs with less meat. And it gives it, like I said, another interesting texture when you're eating it. So now what you can also do is when you first start doing this, you might say, you know what, I don't know what I want to add to it. Then just start working with spices. So you just get lamb, and then what you do is you just add the spices that you want instead of just going and getting cilantro and cutting it up and everything like that. Just go with the onion powder, onion garlic, and put it in there and see what flavor you like. And if you're like, you know what, I really like cilantro in it, then you can start adding chopped cilantro in it. Normally also I would have the fan going on, but I'm afraid that the noise would interfere with this. So I don't have the fan going on. Make sure you have the fan going on. All right. So right here, I got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. And I got about, I would say, yeah, 6 in there, but I probably could have got a couple more if I made them smaller. That's good enough. 7, 11 plus 6 is 17, 18. You get about 20 meatballs for 1 pound of lamb plus half a bag of rice. So that's not too bad. You can serve it for 2 people, 10 meatballs each. And let me see. We still got 4.5 minutes left. I'll show you, this is the pesto sauce that we made a few days ago. As you can tell, it has gotten greener from when we originally left it off. It was green, but it was slightly green. It's been sitting in the refrigerator for 2 days. I had a little bit yesterday. And like I said, I hate mint. Except for mint in some drinks. I hate mint candy, mint gum, you name it. But strangely enough, with this, and especially on lamb, it is excellent. And it's really good on other meats. So seriously, if you haven't seen the class on this one, please do, because it adds so much more. Now, as you can see, I am just not letting it stay covered for the entire 10 minutes. I'm going in there every 3 to 4 minutes. And turning them to make sure it doesn't always get burnt on one side, fully cooks all the way through. And yes, lamb can be pretty expensive, but if you get lamb on sale or anything like that, it can keep for a pretty good time. But if you serve lamb for one of your events or your feasts or any aspect of your meal, it really raises the quality, because it's not just cooking beef or pork or chicken, which usually happens a lot. Lamb is very good. It's very tasty. It works great with different flavor profiles. So if you show it, you're actually elevating your game to other people, because they're like, oh wow, this is amazing. And then you add the different spices that they can add to it later, or the sweet onion and mint sauce. Anything that you do will elevate your skill. And the more you do it, the more you're going to find, you know what? Maybe turmeric is not the thing for me, but I love cumin, so therefore I'm going to double it. Or I'm actually going to use curry powder to give it another slight Asian-esque aspect. It's whatever you want to do. And like I said, preferably it's better to put them all on a baking sheet, stick it in the oven, let it cook, and then they're going to keep the shape better because you're not moving it around. It's not deforming. The smallest one that I had, which is actually just a little bit smaller than a golf ball that I put in there, has really kept its shape and everything. The bigger ones has kind of elongated, because as it started cooking, instead of from this, it kind of elongated out. So that's why putting on a baking sheet, cooking from the inside out is going to be good. But like I said, if you want to have a char on it, which I actually prefer, I think the way that the burnt meat and the spices that are get together and get burnt together is more flavorful. So you can do that, char it, and then put it on a baking sheet and put it in. All right, we'll just take it off the stove real quick. take the small one and one of the big ones, take it out. Okay, small one looks good. Let's try the big one. So here is the small one, which looks really good. The big one still has a slightly red pink center. So what I'll do is I'll put the other big ones back on. And I'll set it for 4 more minutes. So, like I said, once it starts to cook, there's 2 different times. Once for the pan frying, excuse me. I put it in there, get it nice and warm. I put the meatballs in, and then I slowly start rotating and cooking the sides. That can take anywhere between, it'll take more than 2 minutes, but 2 minutes per side. So you're going to get about 6 minutes, and then put a cover on. And like I said, for the golf ball size ones, 10 minutes, good. 12 minutes, even better. You're going to get about that 18-minute time period, 16 to 18. Like I said, for the larger ones, might have to go a little bit higher. But you always want to make sure that you get a nice, actually I want to make sure I put these 2 back in so they cook some more. You want to make sure that the inside is cooked very well. You want to, like I said, if you want to have it in the oven and it's going to have a nice, soft, consistent meatball, or putting it on the stove top real quick, getting a char, getting it crunchy, get a little bit of different flavor profile when you toast it. It's all up to you on how you want to do it. But make sure that it's always cooked well. Cooking it a little bit longer to be safe is never wrong. It might not always taste the best, but we're not professional cooks. We do what we can. We try and come up with really cool ideas, different ways of doing things. And as I said, we're cooking for ourselves, and we're hoping other people will enjoy it the way that we do. So with that, I'm going to try one without the sauce. I definitely think I would add another ½ teaspoon. I'm starting to taste a little bit of cumin, not much of the turmeric. I would add another ½ teaspoon of salt, another ½ teaspoon of turmeric. I'm not tasting any garlic at all, so I'd probably add some of that. And now, that is just so nice. Like I said, a great seesaw of flavors. You're getting meat, you're getting some spice, you're getting some sweetness, you're getting the zing of the mint, and then it kind of goes back and forth between different flavors. So that has a nice look of green, white of the rice, the nice charred aspect. Like I said, I would definitely add a little bit more salt, a little bit more turmeric. But that is so good. It really is. So I want to thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully you will enjoy this too. So please, if you get a chance, try this. Make the pesto sauce. Maybe just try the lamb, whatever you want to do. But never be afraid and enjoy it. Thank you.